Good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone. How are you doing? Good afternoon to my people in Nairobi, Kenya. Good afternoon to my people in the UK. I love you and I am so grateful to be in your presence. So let's get started a little bit today as we wait for other guests to come on. I want you to know that I missed you and I am here again, right? We are here again. We will start up next week. Next week we'll start our new season, but I want you to know I've been thinking about you and understand that there is a reason for this season, and Kingdom Lessons Release Blessings, our responsibility is to come to you and release a message out and have a conversation where we intertwine with others, we relate to others through these conversations, where we are released principles from the Father that allow healing to happen in our life, transformation to happen in our lives. And so, a little bit today and this week, as we walk through that, I want to talk to you a little bit about. One of the things in this year of my 44, right? I turned the big 44. In between this time, I have not been able to have access to you all because I've been on the move. In my life in this season, I will be on the move. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be on the move because as you are on the move, you are meeting new people, you are coming in contact with new concepts. You are seeing ministries that are being operated in different ways, different capacities. And you get the opportunity to see yourself be stretched beyond measure. What we see ourselves to be is not who we may always be. And our ideology begins to shift, but the foundation we should always be operating on the principles of the Father. And so, as we walk through this month of August, one of the scriptures that will be sustaining in conversation with us, let me pull it up real fast. Go to Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah 17. Jeremiah 17 and 10. In this part of our season, I want you to understand. So those of you that get this video, because you know how social media is, just me getting on this morning, there was a lot of there was a fight to get to you. And so in this piece right here, Jeremiah 17, 10, I'm going to read the Amplified version, and then I'm going to go back and get the King James version for you all. It says, I, the Lord, search the mind. I try the heart, even even to give to every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doing. This is accountability scripture for us. I was reading from one author who was writing commentary, another who was doing pieces, and they were saying this piece of text scared me. Like they said they were scared, they were in fear after reading this piece of text. I will tell you, after I read this scripture right here, I understood that everything that I am or everything that I ever be, the Lord is going to search me. The Lord is searching me. And so some of my trials and tribulations that may feel that Satan is sitting on me, or people don't like you, or people are trying to hinder you, is really the Lord is testing you. He said, I, the Lord, search the mind. That means that what's in you, the Lord knows about it. He is searching. He is searching that emotional capacity of you, the intellectual capacity of you. He is searching you. The Father is going through you. He knows there is nothing about you that you can hide from the Father. And sometimes we find ourselves hiding from the Father what the Father already knows. We operate in shame in some areas of our life, or complacency, or thinking that we're getting away with something. There is nothing you can get away with. This is clear. It is out there with Our Father, there is nothing you can get away with. There is no part of anything that you are that you can get away. Nothing that you're doing, no one that you're doing, no persons, peoples that you're connecting with, no thoughts that you're having. The Father is searching everything that you are. He is going through you, He is sifting you. Hold one moment. Good morning. So I said this morning, Seth, and right now I'm in Jeremiah. I think this month I'm going to walk through Jeremiah 17, and I may just sit on 2 scriptures in Jeremiah this month. And it may actually run all the way in parts of September, because there's some breakdown with this. But welcome back. And as I told everyone, it's not that I didn't miss everyone, but it's been a busy season. So if we want to back up some, we can kind of with you being on here, because you were one of my greatest sponsors when it came towards going. You and Brian, it's a couple of y'all that were I can list about 8 people who made God used to help make things happen, right? So let's go. If we want to backtrack, first off, you say whatever you got to say, dear brother.
Oh man, Lord been busy. He's been downloading a lot recently. And the thing that he's been impressing on my spirit, sis, is concerning the Jezebel spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he talked about yesterday to me, was the Jezebel spirit and how it's leading up to the persecution of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was explaining to me, you know how they got all this stuff in Revelations with the dragon and the woman, and then the dragon trying to eat the woman's child, and the woman sitting up on the and the 7 heads of the dragon and the 10 kings, all that stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
He was breaking that down. Oh, he was breaking all that down. And it's out for a long time. I didn't understand it. For a long time, it was a mystery. And now it's clear as day. It's not even hard to understand at all what he was trying to say with all of that symbolism. It's all linking to the Jezebel spirit. It's all linking to the Jezebel spirit.
Even with you bringing that up, I wanted to say this morning, and actually, this last couple, actually, since I've pretty much been away from you all, one of the things I've been allotted to cover in prayer over myself is part of my prayers, I actually speak to the earth. And because one of the things that the Lord has been showing me is He's given us all these tools, right? This earth that we've been set in, there are tools in the spiritual realm that are that will go to work for us. You watch the Father, as He speak, He calls out to the winds, and He tells the winds what He wants the winds to do. And several times within Scripture, you see in Old Testament, and you watch, there was a conversation with the winds. Not only was there a direction for the winds, but there was a direction for the earth. There was a conversation and instructions, and the earth was like, imagine knowing that you're walking every day, living every day on an earth that would literally swallow up everything that is coming against you. Not that you ever tell the earth to swallow up the persons, but you tell the earth to swallow up that spirit of that Jezebel spirit. You tell the earth to swallow up, those people that are those poisonous things that have parasites and those things that have been cast towards you. And you watch where the earth swallowed these things up. But not only did the earth swallow up these things that were intended to kill, but the earth spit out what would cause us to live. And so it was like, we have to shift. And so this morning, just particular, like one of the things I've been doing is I lay As I'm laying in bed, you know, a lot of us, we say to God, and I do, God, thank you for waking me up. But after I go through, God, thank you for waking me up, I begin to go into these instrumental things that I need to cover me as I walk through this day that has been given to me. And so I knowing that the winds as well as the earth can take away and defend and do the winds. The winds blow in. Sometimes the winds are literally blowing in this chaos that we're having in our life. The winds is blowing in this like because it's blowing out the things that we need. And so it's like, I guess I'm in this season where I'm learning that he gave us this voice so that we can speak to and speak over and speak into. So we're speaking to these elements that he has given us, these tools that he has given us. We speak um into, so he speak the earth into alignment, those visions and things, and then we rebuke, we use this voice to rebuke some things, right? And so it's this whole channel of going through, and then that ties in and brought me to this Jeremiah piece where I'm kind of teary of it, because if the Lord is searching us, right, he's searching our minds, and then he's trying our hearts. It literally, what we're putting in our mind, if we're digesting this word in the way we're supposed to be digesting the word, if we're getting fresh revelation and understanding, we really believe, right, that he's given us this revelation and understanding for us to use that's coming from him. He's downloading these things to us. It's gonna be in us, right? It's gonna be in the mind, and if we truly believe it, it's gonna be in the heart, right? And how much disbelief based off of broken systems have we allowed to be in our hearts that are literally, we read the word, we were taught, the preacher or the clergyman literally downloaded, just like us coming on here, we're literally sharing what the Father has downloaded in us. But if you don't believe what the prophet is saying, right? And if you don't believe that the Lord downloaded that in the prophet, then your heart is going to be seen in your heart, right? And so it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot.
Prophet at the name of a prophet shall receive prophet's reward.
Yeah, it's a lot to even as I'm here talking to you about it. It's because now we move from having the audacity to think that things just happen. They just this just so happened to me. This just so I just so seen it. I just so happened to receive revelation of that. No, everything that is everything the Father is doing intentionally. Every part of your makeup, the Father did intentionally. Every part of your ability to how you understand, how you connect with things, the Father did it intentionally. And who are we to hold ourselves back from being able to intentionally connect with what he's allotted for us to connect to? How he's, I was on a conversation with someone yesterday, and they they said this to me. They said, Regina, you're not presenting when you're talking to me. Can you just talk to me? Like, when you talk to me, it sounds like you're giving like you're on a spotlight, or like you're showing some, like you're talking to me like you're actually giving a presentation. That's what it boiled down to. You're talking to me like you're giving a presentation. And I said to the individual, I said, I never mean to offend anyone with how I communicate. I was like, but when you're in spaces and most of the people I communicate with, so even when the kids, right? These are thought leaders. They're creators. And we hold space in a different way, right? It's not that we just take chances like now laters in a packet. It's not like every now and later has to be the same size, or everything that when Seth says something, it has to be the same amount of time that when Regina says something, or we're not in a balanced conversation. No, when we go into conversation, Seth may sit here and you may communicate for 30 minutes. And my job is to listen from my heart, not listen to respond, but to listen to you from my heart, because you're teaching me as you're speaking. I'm learning from you. And not only as you speaking, am I learning from you, but you're healing from you. You are able to feel like you can trust who you're around. You're connected to who you're around. And so I speak in a lot of healing spaces or creative spaces, and it's about what's needed in that moment. And even when I went over to being in Kenya, or even when I was in the UK, or even when I was in St. Lucia, or you know what I'm saying? I can keep going through these different places. I had great conversation with people because we spoke like I speak, right? And so I literally thought to myself, like, am I putting myself where I'm walking on the cloud? Or is the individual that I'm communicating with learning in the communication and feels uncomfortable learning from the person that I am, and really wants to only be heard in the conversation, really wanted to call me to be heard. You get what I'm saying? And so I sat with that. And then the other thing is, I do have to work on where there's someone who's not an intellect, or a creator, or you know what I'm saying, mobilizer, and being able to listen to them. But those all are the search the heart pieces. So yeah.
I say that in every conversation, it's really about what God wants to say. In every conversation with anyone, it's about what God wants to say in the vessel that's willing to say it.
Ooh.
So when you get to talking, God's always speaking through you, and it trumps all that nonsense that people are trying to say. Like, it really does. You don't want to be arrogant, but you know what needs to be said, and you're saying it with conviction. And it's like you said, that people sit up there and be like, yap, yap, yappity, yap, yap, yap. Oh, yeah? Okay. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
You know what? Jesus said they are the blind that lead the blind. If the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a ditch. Let them alone. Let them alone.
And I'm a firm believer that, so, and it's not, and I don't have to explain that and say it's not out of arrogance or like, you know, but I know that I'm favored, and I know that the people come in contact with me receive favor. And so I say things like there's favor in this flavor, right? And it was love, it got catchy. I was in a group with people and they started saying it. Yeah, there's favor in my flavor. There's flavor in my favor. Like when I come in, it's spilling out on people, right? They're connected. And from a child, I knew that when I walk into a place and I came around people that my life impacted, I didn't understand. So I said stuff like giving myself a rapper name, the Queen of Favor, or like the mother of mothers. Like it was like all, you know, little stuff, but it still all tied back into that I'm a like there's an overflow that comes from my life and the people that I come in contact. So I'm very conscious, and I become very uncomfortable if you've been around me long enough and nothing about your life has changed. I begin to wonder, what were the motives, or am I of you coming near me, or am I valuing the relationship in the way it was supposed to be valued? Did I give you what you needed? Mm-hmm. But the other fact I learned too, in this season of my life, is that I give so much, Seth. And sometimes I give so much and I don't have people that's around that pour back into me, right? And because I'm the Queen of Favor and I give favor, the thing is making sure that favor runs in me as well. Because if I'm on empty, so let's we're gonna take this and backtrack real fast and go tell everybody, the people, a little bit about the Kenya trip. Let's talk a little bit about Kenya. Let's Kenya, whew, um, it was a fight to get to Kenya. Um, it was a fight. I will tell you, before I was so on overload, I was trying to wrap things up. The start with the fundraising of the funding. God had told me to ask people and put that ask out there, and the response was very limited. Most people that don't know me do not know that I don't like to ask people for nothing. I will give you, and God is breaking me out of that when it comes to my master classes, when it comes to services that I'm providing, that I stop asking people to give their nickels or quote the price, expect that they will pay the price. If they don't want to pay the price, they don't want to invest in themselves, or they don't want to be a part to invest in the movement. I have to be very clear in this season, because literally I'm so careful not to take from somebody, because I don't want to take anything out of their house. But God says I'm trying to get blessings into their houses. Mm-hmm. And so I was speaking with a group yesterday. I said, it's funny that there was under 10 people that donated to the Kenya trip, and the under 10 people that donated to the Kenya trip, I look forward in this year, before the end of 2024, of hearing of the testimonies of blessings that God blessed them with, because he was doing something very intentionally to bless the sowers. And the reason I can say that is because those that sold all sold out of their heart. The amounts and were a variety, and it's funny because they were all in double, right? So it was twos connected into the sewing. Maybe it was 200. Maybe it was, you know what I'm saying? Like it was this even number of twos. So there's going to be a doubling of whatever the Father blesses them with. And what each of the sowers did not know, the planters did not know, is that me going to Kenya or stepping foot on the continent of Africa, I've been overseas, but I had never went home. This was something, a vision from childhood, from when I was a girl. And I've always had people attempt to stop that or tease me for being connected. And those that so blossomed what was a vision that was supposed to happen. So it's like being in Old Testament, and there's prophecy that's spoken that won't happen until New Testament. Those were a part of that journey of going from Old Testament to New Testament. God says, as I was leaving, my flight gets canceled. One of my flights gets canceled. We're out already on the road, have already launched into the deep of the trip, and part of our leg is canceled. I literally have to stay in a roach infested hotel in Philly. I get overcharged for a cab to get to that hotel. And I'm with a group at this point. The food that I'm eating at a restaurant is like, it stinks in this restaurant. I'm not even naming off names of the hotel or the restaurant. This is just part of my journey that I had to go through to see when I was going to tap out or give up. We literally get to the airport. They don't have tickets. We've sat in the airport literally all day, but in the midst of that, right, I'm still, like I told you, I'm with a team who was going over, BTBY team, some of them. And one of my friends who I pray with online, Maria, she comes to the airport in Philly, and she cooks food and brings food for us all on the team. But 3 of us have already left to catch another plane. And 2 of the team, I'm left with this 3 of us left. 2 of them have went to go get a car so we can literally drive from Philly to JFK Airport so that we can catch a different flight, because it was going to be 2 more days before we got to Nairobi if we would not have did this, right? So literally we we drive. I love on her, and literally we jump in that, they come around and pick me up. She leaves and they pick me up in the car. We literally are speeding to get to JFK Airport. There's backed up traffic. We have to drive on the side of a road lane so that we can get through traffic because there's been a car wreck. And we get there, and then they tell us that they don't even have space for us on the plane. Are y'all hearing me? They don't have tickets. I mean, they don't have seats for us. They don't have no assigned seats. So at this point, and now the team is getting frazzled, right? Because one couldn't find the other, and it was just, and so we got these big heavy bags, and literally, y'all, I snap on one of the people. He's anxious, right? And I'm trying to keep myself settled, but at the point, I feel like when they said they don't have seats and he was fussing and he was doing his part and I was like, I ain't, literally stop. Like, I don't got time for this. I don't need to hear this. Like, I'm like, God, I need you to work this out. Like, what's going on? I'm having a conversation with God, but I'm asking God for forgiveness because now I'm in my feelings. And I've fighting not to be in my feelings the whole time already. I've been gone from Kansas City at this point. I mean, Topeka, Kansas City, because that's where I flew out on, over now 24 hours. We're going and moving towards, I've been already away from home, right? And I'm like, man, I could have been at church. Like, I'm thinking all kind of stuff. Like, I could have. And literally, I didn't go to prayer. I didn't, just like all these. I'm praying in the airport, like in the Philly airport, you all. I literally go to another side and I just sit and I start praying, like right in the open area in the airport. And I'm just like, man, this is a lot. So my body is already, when I get overly heavily frustrated, my body goes into, it starts hurting like really bad, like my bones and stuff. So I'm already up. I'm up here. And then the other part is, I love couples for everybody else in relationships, but it's like a reminder in my face when I'm traveling with everybody coupled up and they got a support system. And I'm like, okay, God, I need you gonna have to be my boyfriend on this trip because I would need some support. So we get there, the Kenyan group, family. I have to leave the food that Maria cooked. And I offer the lady if she wants it. I know she probably didn't eat that food, but at this point, I got all these big bags. I got bruises on my body because I've been toting these heavy bags, and moving them around, bringing them out. And finally, they tell me they got us a ticket. Right. And it's funny because it becomes a running thing already is, Regina, talk to your daddy. Regina, talk to your daddy, right? On this trip, the whole trip. But at this point, it's already come out. Regina, talk to your daddy. So we get on a flight and we fly Kenyan Air. First off, I'm glad for that part of the experience because I've never, like, every body, black bodies, they're dressed in some of their culture part connected to their uniform, and they're serving us, and this, and I get to sit by this young lady who's from Kenya, coming out of, I think she was coming from the Boston area, you know what I'm saying? So you just sit there and she talk about her culture, and I'm able to coach her on the plane. She had some stuff she was going through, and some decisions coming up in her life. And the Lord literally, at first, I was like, I don't know if I want to sit by her, because she had some high energy. She came in the plane late, and she had some high energy. And I'm like, right now, I need some peace after all I've already been through to get here to this point. I need some peace. But it was an honor to take that part. And we flew right from JFK into Kenya, and the plane lands. And I'm like, oh my God. And you look at, now the thing was, going into Kenya, that plane was very multicultural. It was very diverse of those that were flying into Kenya. We get there, the plane lands, and you look out, and there's like Black bodies everywhere of various colors and shapes, and they're welcoming us to come off. Like, they're the ones that are doing all the work there. They welcome us to come off the plane. I'm just so in awe, right? I look back at the plane. I'm just so in awe. It's us, right? And they keep saying, welcome home. One of the people with me, her wheel broke on her bag, so we had to kind of wait over. We finally get out, and you see Black bodies when you walk out the airport. They're trying to give people rides and support them and assist them. What do you need? And when our person comes to pick us up, he has signs, that a sign with my picture on it, and me as an international speaker, and welcome to Nairobi, Kenya, right? And we get to the cars, he drives us on this journey, and we're seeing the sights as we're driving. The air was fresher. It was just a whole different thing. And we drive, and we get there to our hotel, and you literally have to go through all these things before you can get there. Now, the nice buildings, they have all kind of things like gas, everything, right, that we have. In capacity, they have it, right? And it's in different ways, right? And one of the things is where we get to the Trademark again. That's the hotel I stayed in, the Trademark. They get our luggage out, they take it through scanners. Like, this place you wasn't not getting out of. So I'm telling you, this whole thing. They scan our bags in, and they take our stuff around, and they check you into your room. Black bodies everywhere. Like I said, various sizes, tribes, languages, but they speak Swahili and English so that they can all understand each other. But they have, I think it's 47 or more tribal languages. So I get to my room, right? We all meet up. The speakers that are there, we all meet up. Hey. I go up to my room. Y'all, I get to this room, and it's beautiful, right? It's beautiful. At this point, I'm only staying there one night because I leave for the safari the next morning. I have, like I said, I had bruises. I still have some of the bruises on my arms there, literally. And I've never had dark purple. And it was like 3 colors. I've never had a bruise that I can remember of on my body like that. But I'm a little swollen when I get there, but I'm not as swollen as I was when I came back to it, when I flew back to America. But I go eat and take in a meal that night. And then the next morning I leave for the safari. On the way, going to the safari, the Masai Mara, literally there's a roadblock where the community has blocked off the road. Nobody's been killed. Nobody's been beaten. The community blocks off the road because 2 young men the night before had been killed. by a driver. They were on a motorbike. They were in their 20s, I believe. That's what I was told. And so they block off the road until a state official, somebody comes, a representative comes to speak to that community because they want to be, they want there to be some type of payment, or some type of reciprocity or something for the death of these young boys. And literally, so we're there in a dirt parking lot for 3 hours waiting for somebody to come so they can open up that road for us to continue to drive through. Mind you, this was not a short trip. This was a couple hours ride from where we were at the hotel. We get there late. They welcome us in to the hotel. They welcome us in, not the hotel, the safari, and where we're staying at. It's literally, I didn't know I was going to be staying in a tent, but it was the most beautiful tent that you could stay in. Right? It had 2 queen size beds in it. I had a shower in there, a bathroom in there, but you had to lock the key. This lock, the locker lock, I had to lock it from the inside. I get locked. I pray. I have a great revival time. Like, it was good. The prayer was good, right? That shower was good, but that bed slept good, but I was scared of bugs. So the first night, I'm having this whole fear of bugs being in my bed, or bugs, spiders or something touching me. And I killed a couple big spiders, right? So I'm literally by myself going through this, and the Lord is literally working with me on, by the time I go to bed that night, he's like, do you trust me or do you not? Like, it's literally, turn the lights off. Because in hotels, a lot of times I sleep with the lights on. And I sleep on the top of depending on the hotel, I sleep on the top of the sheets, and I will, if there's 2 beds, I will do this whole shakedown with one of the things, and I'll sleep on the top. And so the Lord said, do you trust me or not? I've provided for everything for you. Do you trust me or not? Turn them lights off. I turn the lights off, y'all. And I wake up in the morning. I wake up to go to the bathroom, and there's no light in the middle of the night. There's no light because the hotel, the Seta Safari runs off of green energy, and so there's none. And I have to go to the bathroom, and my phone was not charged, so I have to go through this whole piece of all these things that are internally happening. And deal with my trust issues and my safety, realizing that I'm safe. Like, I'm safe. It was like the Lord saying to me, you're safe. I got you. And then after I showered and did all my stuff in the morning to get out, y'all, because we leaving at a certain time to go on the safari. I'm not a big breakfast person, so I can eat later on in the day. Y'all, I can't get out this room. The room is locked. I can't get out. Do you hear me? It's locked from the inside. And I'm going, God, hold on now. I didn't pray for everybody in this camp. I did all this. Like, Lord, hold on. What is going on? And the Lord said, ask for help. So I struggle to ask for help. Most people know that about me. It is something I'm still working on. As a woman of God, every woman or man, whether leader, father, wherever position it is, there's something they're struggling with. And there's a reason why they're struggling, but their reason is not bigger than God. And so at this point, God says, ask for help. And so I have to stay calm the whole time I'm doing all this. I said, can somebody hear me? Like, literally like that. Can somebody hear me? And there's 2 black-bodied men. This is all significant for me because some of my biggest attacks I've been under have been from black-bodied men. And at the moment where I'm in a whole nother nation And I already have issues with being stuck out in wilderness. I used to work for a wilderness camp. I literally have to ask the help of a black body male. And the way that God had them to deal with me was very strategic. They literally walk through. So the lock piece has significance too. A lot of times people are telling us what they need and we're telling them what to work for them. So with this lock, the night before, I told them that it was hard for me to get the lock open and I was struggling to get it open. And the individual came and they did this. They had to work at the lock and they get the lock open. I had another person try to get the lock open. They could not get the lock open. But the individual that worked on the site came and did something and the lock open. Now, the next morning, we are hearing this same lock that I couldn't get open the night before for me to go in. I couldn't get open for me to go out. You all, there's a door that's supposed to open for you that you're going to have to work at and you're going to have to ask for some assistance to get to. But there's a place that you're locked in that you're going to have to ask for assistance to get out of this place. You've been locked in it generationally. Your family's been locked in it and you need help getting out. You're not going to be able to get through this alone. You're going to have to ask. The other part to the lock is sometimes people, like I said, people are telling us what they're needing and we're telling them what to do. And they're telling us what worked for us will not work for them. And so we're going to have to come up with a new way of breaking them out of this. And so this hotel, one of the staff, they had to get the wire cutters, cut the lock, and they end up having to cut the zipper, somehow or another cutting the zipper to the tent so that they can get me out. We have to get to a point as the body of Christ that we value the person more than we value the temple of the church or we value the rituals or routine. God is trying to bring people out and save the lives of his people. And we're trying to reserve these principles and routines and rituals that we've always done. And God said, I don't want that no more. You can fix that, but you can't fix her. And so they do that and they let me out. And they look at me. One of the parts is one of the males went for help. The other male never left me. He made sure I could hear his voice outside of the tent. We're leaving people in their shovels and running, talking about we're getting help. And while we're leaving them, they're breaking down all the more in their mess. And some of them are ending up dead while we're going to go get help. So let's get past that part. This is funny, right? Look at your face.
Oh man, you're speaking to me, sis.
Look at your. So I get to the thing because I'm so nervous that Dr. West is gonna be like, Regina, you're late, because he has a thing like if you're here, say you're here. If you're not here, guess you won't answer, right? Like that's how it is. Like either you're with us or you're not with us. Like, because when we're moving, we got to be on the move. We got to be in place. That's part of leadership, be in place. And there was nothing at that point I could have done to be in place, right? And so sometimes you're leaving people who are not in place thinking that it was them that didn't want to be in place, but circumstances really had them trapped. But I'm still here. So we go out on the safari, out in the public, out in the opening. We're there all day. Like this is an all day. The village, individuals from the village actually were our drivers. So they took us out and literally you see and we're literally think about this. We're relaxing, waiting to see what's next. We're relaxing, waiting to see what's next. We're at opening, connected with the earth. We're relaxing, seeing, and waiting for what's next. We're experiencing everything, whether it was when we seen the lions or whether it was when we seen the I can't even say the name. You know the birds, the ultrasons. I'm messing it up, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The big bird that don't fly, it better not fly. that thing weigh enough for everybody. We've seen the elephants, and you see the rhinos, and you just see the monkeys, and you see all these, and this is all day, and we're riding, and we stop at one point for the bathroom while we're riding out here on the land, and we stop at points where literally we got to figure out how we're going to do this bathroom thing, and everybody teams up to surround, put our little sheets and stuff up so people can go to the bathroom and still be covered. Women covering women, not leaving a woman out there to be uncovered. We're covering her and making sure she feels safe and comfortable as she goes. We stopped and had a picnic, not we stopped at a restaurant. We were on the land. We had a picnic with nice fruits and vegetables and piece of meat and like cultural stuff, local. We stopped and everyone just conversed and we took pictures and we heard stories and we were okay that the only place we were going was at this place called there. We were not in a rush to get to the next place, right? We were there to experience this place called there. And we were not only were we experiencing the land, the air, the animals, but we were experiencing the connections to the people. And you've seen the smiling faces, and you've seen where people got some of the Jeeps got stuck, and how they came together and to figure out how they would get them unstuck, where even to the point of using running in, not run hard in, but knocking into another one. They tied stuff to others to get each other out. And we're at a point where literally, I think that was where the panther was, not the panther, a leopard was sitting up in the tree. And so all this is happening while this leopard is in this tree, but we got all these, and so things like that. And then one of the things I noticed is about myself was I love the animals, don't get me wrong, but I was so intrigued by the landscape and how the sky met the landscape, the flowers, the grass, the way it was setting. And y'all notice I sent pictures as I was capturing those pieces. I was around all those animals, but at the same time, while I was around all those animals, I was capturing the species of greenery and just the gentleness of the sky and how the skyline rests. And those were beautiful things to me that tied into that space. And it allowed me to breathe, right? As I connect, there was a point, actually, I think 2 or 3 times I took my shoes off and put my feet in the ground while we're there. And it was so much energy. It was so much energy. And these was in areas where there was not a lot of man has taken his hands and changed, or woman changed that landscape or brought in man-made dirts or moved anything. So at the safari space, that was one. And moving forward at Canyon Village, Canyon City, Bishop Juma and Pastor Juma's wife. Pastor Juma, I literally took my shoes off on that land. And again, it was like this same fullness of energy. Like it was like this cleansing, and then there was like this bursting of energy that I felt coming in. And so we can save some of that piece, but you see all these lessons that were blessings, right? That came in, and we're only now 2 days, 3 days into the whole process, right? So from hitting, what I've done is just told you up to going through the trip to Africa, the travel towards there. So I just told you about from Saturday, and we just went up to Wednesday. So look, we got a whole nother part for a whole nother day, but what I'm saying is the people just embrace the landscape, I did see a lot of things that brought me to tears. I cried over those first days. I cried a lot. And the crying was not, one of my cries was about our privilege. And even in my worst here, it was not the worst that I seen people going through there. The crying was going into the Masa village, and these women build these huts there, these homes, which we see as huts, as nothing. And they build them out of cow dung and dirt. And I could never imagine my family living in that. But imagine that this is what you know, and you want to sustain your tradition and your culture. And you don't want to rip this away from your children, or away from your community. I cried at, up until this point, the only time I had a black-bodied woman connect to me from the continent is if she was selling me something from that territory, is if she was selling me something or she was serving me something.
Mm.
And she would call me sister at that point. And I just really wanted to sit with her. You know, I wanted to know, hear her story. I heard the men tell their stories, but I longed to sit with my sister and have my sister tell me her story. I long to sit with my sister and have my sister feel safe, holding space with me. I long to sit with my sister and have my sister to trust that me being from a Westernized culture, I was not there to destroy her or take anything from her. I long to sit with her and have her know I value her and I love her. And I did not get that in that first part of the trip, right? I did not. There was not a moment I got that. Every time these beautiful sisters would come up, it was either she was serving me or she was asking me to buy something or sponsor something. And so at that point, I wonder if I would have had so much more resources in my pocket. And I planned to go over to help if I could have held a moment with her. So it was like the men were talking, the men were connecting, the men were not trying to compete, but the women, it was like we were disconnected. Like my humanity was foreign for her, or rather she perceived that her humanity was foreign for me. And so that was, I sit in that. I feel that still right now. I feel that right now. I feel that right now. And I would say if one of my sisters actually gets home and you all, but it's funny because it was the same way for me in the UK. I watched as I held, and this happened here later on in the story, as I would hold the women and I would hug them. Even in the UK, they just cried. They just would pour out. And it was happening in Kenya as well. And so for me to feel the disconnect and then watch them be able to connect and accept. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about some of those next stages, because Africa, even the coming home became, I tell the stories of that fight. It became a fight to come home. And I had to go through a lot. I've been out this country, like I said several times. I've never been through so many searches coming back into the US. Yeah. And I came back, I was sick. By the time I got to London, I had got sick. And I don't know if it was, I feel like it was an internal thing. It was an internal thing of everything that I was experiencing, feeling in my emotions. So yeah. So next time, I guess as we move through this next one, I think you need to ask me questions so we can get to some bits and pieces because my love, my love. But again, I say to everyone that invested in that on
Questions
those,
was that I wanted to ask were the animals running freely? Like were they
they
in the
were free. They were on their land. There were over 1 million water buffalo that had came in from Tanzania, and on the land.
so this leopard could have jumped out of the tree and ate one of y'all?
Yes. Yes. We were right by the lions. The lion was humping
Yeah.
the lioness. We were right there. They were right there. Like, look at some of the pictures. They were, look, right there. And
Mm,
they were having sexual intercourse.
crazy.
The bird that was, they were having sexual, like, right there. We watched him do a whole dance before he prepared, where he was like literally slapping his head on the side of his body before he literally went to his the bird I don't need to inject her. I don't know. Like, it was the craziest thing I ever seen. Like, it was like, I did not pay for this. This is not what I wanted to see. Like, I never in my life want to see all that again, ever. But for someone that's their thing, like, to see that, like, it was like this it was like, think about this bird being this overjoyed man who's like, hey, she said, yeah, well, I'm about to get it, I'm about to get it. And then he goes to her, and it's like I mean, and I didn't even a minute, it's like 30 seconds. It was like, I'm done, let's go, let's move on. But he spent minutes like dancing and beating himself to prepare. It was like he did all this preparation, and then he was like, I'm done. So that was one of the things. The lion, the female lion literally falls, like, after, like, she falls away. So you see that piece happening. Um, but you see her flirting with him. That was the funniest thing. You could see the lioness flirting with him before he ever did anything. And I was like, was they doing that for us to see that, or like what was going on? Because it's like this whole flirting thing that happens, and then you see that. What else? Oh my God, there were so many things. There's animals. I can't even remember the names of the animals. I don't even think we talked about these animals in America. Some of the local animals that were out there. There was this little bird that I seen in a tree that literally, it was like right there, and the bird on the outside, it looked dark, and then somehow or another the feathers did something, and you could see all these hues, these colors in it. And I thought that, and it was a little bitty, it was something that you would just missed and not paid attention to. But think about how many people we come in contact with that we don't see their beauty, we just see the darkness. And then something moves and we see it all. They didn't matter, but this thing was so huge to me to sit there and watch, pay attention to this bird. I did one of the tribal men, literally, he's like a head, one of the upper masa, he literally killed a lion, like, literally, when he was younger. He has markings on his face where the lion literally had attacked him. And on his body, and he tells the kind of talked about it, and he yeah, it was a life or death situation. He had been attacking the food. The lion had been attacking their food and their, so the lion, so literally this young man stood up for the village. And so we got the opportunity to meet that. I have pictures with him, a picture with him and a couple other. I try not to take, like, especially with the men, I try not to take one-on-one pictures with them. Again, it was very important to me to value culture, and have clear boundaries. It was very important to me to do that. And I had conversations of men with some of the tribal men. The naming ceremony was very humbling. When they gave me my name, one that comes when it rains. It's like Natasha. Not it's I'll have to put it up with the picture when they name me, but it aligns with who I am. It aligns with that favoring piece, that one that brings abundance piece. It aligns with who I am. So it was like, okay, when they explained to me what the name meant, I was like, oh, that aligns.
The
It
name
aligns.
Natasha.
Huh?
The name was Natasha.
It's not it's spelled Natashi Nataka. It's a different spelling of the name. I will have to pull it up for me to be able to show it. But yeah, like I said, it was all of these things were part of buying. I made sure I invested into the village. I want to do a little bit more into the school in the village. And then I bought some items and literally I didn't like I said, I didn't go with a whole bunch of money to be spent, but I had held that money so that I could put something in the village when we went to the village. And that was an important part for me to be able to put something in the village. So literally the cash that I had carried, I think I carried $100 in cash. And that cash, I put that cash, try to put it towards my village space. Um, Yeah. He said, was the animals? Yes, these animals were not in no, like in America, we got them in the cows would be walking down the side of the road. The bamboos were on the side of the road. Monkeys, you could have monkeys in different places. Sheep, like there were not no wired fence or not. I'm saying wired to keep them out. There was not no the electric gates. It was open land. And like I said, they came from the water buffalo. These millions that came over, that travel over, they came over from Tanzania. So it's like it's the great something that they have that happens. And the water buffalo, them things is huge. Look,
You
huge.
like two of us put together, 3, 4 of
No,
us.
they bigger. It's a couple. It's two of us put together would probably be a maybe not even half. I don't think they're big. Them water buffalo. Some of them are big. Yeah, like that. That say the name of the thing. Ostrich. That ostrich was like 500-600 pounds. That's what I said. That bird ain't flying. That one ain't flying right there.
Pounds.
Yeah, it was big. That thing was big. And it may have been more than 500-600 pounds. It was big. And they remember they're so tall and their necks are like really powerful. Like when I say this thing was beating its head against its body, like I ain't never met nothing that's bold enough to beat its head on its body. It was beating its head on side to side, like moving and beating its head on its body. Like not like boom, like no, like all the way. Think about beating your head near your stomach area. And it was just doing it for a long. I was like, how long is this thing gonna do this? Like, what is it? What does this mean? I need to study this to know what he's saying, signaling. But I think he let her know he ready. What's up? Because he was over there
going of fitting mate.
Yeah, it was the mating call for real. God, it's so much that because we'll move past those, we'll move to the return from the village. And I know I'm still missing like so many. I met some great people. There was one of the young ladies who literally while I was at the safari part, literally I connected so much to this young lady. And they were such servants. Like when I got here, like I wanted tea. Then my Kenyan friends make me this tea. And I was like, can you make me some Kenyan tea? Now there's packets that say Kenyan tea on them, right? No, that's just a dried tea leaf thing in there. No, when they make it with the fresh leaves, or they make it and then they have this way of pouring milk or and honey or whatever, they make this drink for you. It is so good. And it's funny because in America I can't drink milk, but there, because it's coming right from the cow, right? Without being passionate, all that stuff in it, it's a whole different flavor. And I was grateful, right? And it's funny because it didn't matter where I went. If I asked for Kenyan tea, or if I asked for a ginger tea, a ginger drink, they knew with the ginger drink, they knew that I needed the ginger in there and I needed honey to go in there. They knew, and they would just make it and bring it to me. They would just make it and bring it to you. Fruit in your room, like certain things, they were just the man folded my dirty nightgown and laid it on my bed like the most prestige thing ever, and literally took my blanket on the bed and just literally peeled it back like a little nice triangle and had my nightgown there and my hair rag. I ain't never had that service in America. You get what I'm saying?
Vanity there.
Water was not in plastic bottles in your room. Water was in it was distilled water, and it was in glass bottles in the room. And they refill that as you drink that. And they had my tea, you warm your tea, the water, keep your water warm pot, that steam pot. They literally made sure I had water. They made sure my tea was refilled. And that's funny because I just stayed in Washington, D.C., and that's one thing they did not do is refill my tea in my room.
I have.
Huh?
Here's the question that I have. From what you've seen and what you understood about Africa before you went, based on what America has shown you about Africa versus what you experienced about Africa when you got there, how different was that perspective of Africa?
One part is, so I know this is crazy, this is not the same, but I've always been like the Bollywood, so the Indian movies and the Nollywood movies. So some of those things of seeing the landscape there, when I watched Nollywood movie, the landscape, it was, I understood the homes, and I think it kind of from being when I went to St. Lucia, right? When I went to the and I didn't go to St. Lucia and stay on the resort. I went on the St. Lucia and stayed out in the country, right? Out in with the families in community. And so a lot of what I seen reminded me of what I seen there. And what I seen, some of the things like I knew they had nice hotels, and I knew that the animals were free. I knew some of those things, but some of the things tied into my relationship with the women, connecting with the women there, that I guess I thought it was going to be better. I thought initially the initial part would have been better, of coming in. I knew the class structure already, that they had class structures. It was studying about it, but seeing it was like, wow, we deal with colorism here, where there was class there, right? You could tell the difference between the class. You could tell how they carried themselves, their mannerisms, like it was, you could see in those areas how they responded to you and received you, the confidence when they connected with you, that piece. You could see food. I expected to eat more local foods, but because I was staying in a trademark, and because I was more on, I guess, playing like the safari and a lot of my foods were not the local dishes, right? A lot of them were things that we would have ate in America. They were more westernized. The drinks, if you went to the store and you bought juice, you got juice. you got juice. Like mango juice was mango. Like it was thick. It was mango. Pineapple was pineapple. You could taste like anything that had ginger in it. Anything their food was not overly processed like ours was. My body did not hurt from eating those foods. Everything was more fresh. It was like a more fresh experience. Even though it was westernized, it was fresher when you experienced it. I did not know that they learn English and Swahili in school. I thought Swahili was one of the languages that may have been spoken in the home. Swahili is not the language that is spoken in the homes. Some do speak Swahili, but the main language spoken in the homes is their tribal languages.
Mm.
So
the various dialects.
Yes. I met someone who was on the Oya. I'll need to say it right or don't say it, but the where Obama's father was from, I met someone from that tribe. And they talk about how there's a tribe that's like right by there. And I met someone from a tribe that's right by there that literally they just have the different ending sound. The name, the tribes have it. If you don't get the ending sound right, you would mess up the names of the tribe. You would misconstrue the names of the tribes, but they're different tribes. And how the cultures of each of these tribes are different. They don't all practice the same things or do the same things. I met tribes who were Christian tribes. Tribes who were Christian tribes. The foundation of the tribe is Christianity. They don't talk to us about that in America, right? They talk to us about the paganism and the ritual routines and all this different stuff, but they are tribes who were Christian foundational tribes. And so having conversations with them in their place.
What was their experience with being a Christian tribe in Africa? What did they say? Like, what was that?
That was a lot that I didn't get a lot to the opportunity to dig into because I was on time restraints. Because I went and I was moving from events. I went to the hotel that I was staying at was a Trademark, and then I went to this other hotel that looked like you were in a whole nother, like you were in Britain, like gold and black. This was like we had award ceremonies, and there was differences in this award ceremony than there were in this award ceremony. And two different people did them, but you could tell the classes of those that came in and how they were dressed and how they moved, and you know what I'm saying, and how they spoke when they accepted their award, even how when they took the pictures, right? It was just like, I'm that one. Like, don't try me. It was a lot different. Even how they connected the men. I seen this Muslim man in that hotel, and it reminded me of the movies, like when I would see the Muslim men sitting, and he was very, oh God, it was just this essence of I'm here, like he was crisp. Everything about him was crisp. Everything about him was poised, like as he sat in his place, right? And I was like, oh, we in here with the money. Like, you know how you like, oh, that one has some money, but no, we here with the money. And it kept going through just the way that you looked out and how they spoke to you when even the way that they fixed the tea at this one, it was a difference in how they already had the honey sitting out and everything everything was crisp and laid out. And so it was the posture, the mannerisms as they spoke to you, the dialect. They were their English was the England English when they spoke to you and they said the words, and it was just, this man was talking to me and I was like, Well, dang, that's like out of a whole movie. Like this chocolate brother is out of a whole movie having conversation. Hold on, I forgot. I seen a guy that looked like he was 7 feet tall, and he was like this. This man was skinny, skinny. Seth, he was like this, and he's literally with a suit on, and his suit is like I was like, man, I can't even put Nehemiah in his suit. Like my grandson would not have been able to stretch out in his suit. He was that skinny, like he was tiny, but you could tell he was somebody, right? Again, but this dude was like, I'm like, man, I don't even think I go to his belly. Like this man, this is a tall brother right here. Mm. But being in the city, like when we roll back in the city to go to that ministry, and I kind of jumped forward because I want to tell that story the second half another time. But literally, imagine being people be calling Atlanta the Mecca. No, baby. Mm-mm. No, 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 baby. The streets were flooded. Think about being in New York City and you're seeing all those people crossing the street and walking down the street, and they're all black-bodied individuals. And they're different races, different cultures, different heights, different languages, all these different things, but they're all black-bodied people. Like, I was like, oh, like a little kid, like, oh my God. Like, did you see them over there? Like, oh, we wasn't at no concert. They was going to work or going to do business. All their other things, they was on the move and like streets side by side, like you driving through in the main, like going through the main in Nairobi, Kenya, downtown. It was like, oh my!
It was like the world turned upside down.
And then a white family walked in to come into that hotel to reserve a room, or I don't know what they were doing, but they came to walk in, and it was like every time you seen a white person, you was like that's like you knew, right? In comparison to like when we walk into predominantly white rooms and you spot Regina, like that's like how it was. It was like, oh my, when I say the workers, the restaurants, and you see Indian, but China has Asian population has a lot of they own property and they have their own community. They're in Nairobi, Kenya. So they have influence. Yeah, Asia. Well, I ain't gonna say Asia, but the Chinese community has a large influence over in the continent of Africa. And from what I get, they own a lot. So yeah, there you go. I just gave you a lot.
That's some low key right there strategy. You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't have heard that. You thought about it. They getting all that.
They have a large influence. And the Indian population has a large influence as well. Like in America.
In America,
Indian, China, like Japanese China, like that Asian community has a large influence in our culture, and they have a large influence in Africa. So yeah, those are things that I've seen. I don't think I've seen a lot of women's hair out unless they were not in, but that's in America. A lot of our women don't wear their hair out. They see a lot of that. But I understand over there them putting their hair up. I don't understand it here, us always hiding our hair, but over there, I know it's fashion industry, but over there I understand because it's so dusty. Like it's really dusty. And so I do understand protecting. That was the thing too. In the village, baby, the women's hair was on whip. You get what I'm saying? Hey, the women was not walking around. I love.
What you mean, like braided up?
Braided, yeah. They was braided down. They was clean, baby.
But they was covered their hair.
Yeah, they was clean. They kept their hair was on point. Colors, like their clothing full of color. They make those cloth like this right here. Someone made skirt, right? And they made a jacket to go with it. And this is quality. This is not. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
This is not no flimsy nothing.
Deep material.
This ain't going nowhere, bro. This right here gonna last for a couple years.
Daughter and your daughter's daughter.
Yeah, this ain't going nowhere. This is quality. They put a line in everything they made for me. They lined it. We go to the store sometimes over here, and they saying they selling African clothing. That ain't African clothing. This right here, They came in, they measured me, and then they left out everything that they made. They put extra material in. So if I need to go up or if I need to go down.
What you mean?
So that what it means is I ain't gonna never be able to say I can't fit this skirt unless I become.
It could be adjusted.
Yeah, they left enough material so I can take it up and move it down.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, those are things. Those are things. Now, hold on. I did see a lot of short men. I did see that. That was something I said to somebody. I said, I didn't realize that, and it may just be in the region I was in, the tribe area. The men were like either my height, a lot of them were my height or shorter. And so the running joke for me on this trip, because I feel like the body of Christ wants me to have a husband. Me and you had talked about this. And so everybody's trying to find me a husband. You're going to get a husband. You're going to get a husband. You're going to get a husband. I'm like, or they'll make a comment like, did you get your husband in Kenya? And they're laughing, right? But I don't think that's funny. So I'm like, stop being mean. Regina, you're African. Like, you are African. Like, you look like them. You move like them. Excuse me. And I had the best. I will tell you, I had the best time, but we still got to go through because trials and tribulations come. Delays come, but the delays are not intended to hinder you. The trials and tribulations are not meant to stop you. And you can either focus on them or you go through the experience. And like I said, on the first week, I just told you the first piece. We'll go through the second part.
What would you say the trials and tribulations of getting there were? What do you feel like the purpose they served? All that resistance.
Oh, well, one was delay, not denial. There was a delay, not a denial. It was delayed. And what if part of the delay was to keep me safe? Part of the delay was to keep me safe. I was delayed, not denied. The other part is, like I said in Jeremiah, God is what? He's going to do what? He's going to search our what? Let's go back to this Jeremiah piece. We'll go to that Jeremiah piece right there. The Lord searches the mind. What's in your mind? Your perception is what allows you to how you behave after this. What is your perception of this? What are you perceiving is happening is the very way you're going to experience what's happening. Well, however you're perceiving what's happening is the very way you're going to experience what's happening. You had a perception before you had an experience. You had a perception before you had an experience. And however you're perceiving this, if you're perceiving this through the eyes of poor me, victim me, broken me, then now you get to Nairobi, Kenya. You finally get the flight. You get on the flight, and you're still focused on all the delays. You can't focus on all the delays. You've made it. You get the car. Hold on. So I'm riding with someone who, a couple who, coffee cup Chuck in Korean, and literally they get a car. They're like, we're going to make a decision And the strategic decision, are you willing to change? Are you willing to change? Or do you think the only way you can go is the same way? It's idiotic to continue to do the same thing. If we would have stayed on the same course, we wouldn't have made it into Kenya until on a Tuesday. We made it to Kenya Sunday night. We were supposed to make it there Saturday. We made it there Sunday night. If we would have continued on the same course, we wouldn't have made it to Kenya until Tuesday. If we would have made it to Kenya on Tuesday, we wouldn't have been on safari on Monday, Tuesday, and then coming home Wednesday. You get what I'm saying? I was supposed, part of my processing with that was I was supposed to speak on Sunday, right? I was supposed to be at 2 locations on Sunday. So I was supposed to speak to a group on Sunday morning, and I was supposed to speak to a group on Sunday evening. And then I was supposed to be going to a group later on in the week. So I could not be there. People were waiting for me to come, and I could not be there. Why waste time focusing on what you can't be, where you could not be, what you cannot control? The only thing you can control is you and what you do. Huh? Thank you. I could not make the plane. There's nothing I can change about that. So how long are you going to spend being ashamed or feeling guilty for what you could not do? You could not control that.
So how you perceive an experience determines the quality of that experience.
Yeah. And sometimes how you perceive the people. If you go over to, so one of the things I heard that kept being a language in westernized culture, we need to work on this. This third world thing that we continue to put out our mouth and say, because we've had the opportunity to have access to whether it's technology pieces or some of these other things, we begin to call people who have firmer family foundations, who understands their culture, their traditions, who has greater connection with their children, who has greater connection with their land. We call them third world, and we go into these places and we take stuff from them that we should never be removing, right? Think about somebody calling you third world, but wants you to wants to buy your material to make and wants you to make their clothes for them, but they're belittling you, but they need you. And I think we have to watch how we project. One of the things I said to someone, and it's real, I have a smell thing, right? One of the things I recognized is I knew that our aluminum deodorants that we wear in this country, which are killing us, right? These are a sacrifice that we make so we don't have to smell our natural body odor. We belittle when others don't do what we do or don't believe what we believe, but culturally there's different beliefs to what they're doing. And so they took a bath. They clean themselves. I can tell there's a difference between having an unbathed scent in comparison to having a not wear deodorant scent, right? And so I have to be watchful with this, but I made the comment, how did I say it? The onion cologne, right? I was like, most of the men had the onion cologne smell on. And that I came depending upon class, right? But in the same scent, they had their natural smell on. Do you get what I'm saying? They had their natural smell on. They smelled like the herbs and spices from the foods that they were eating. That's what they smelled like. Now, my nose is not accustomed to that. It's abnormal for me to smell that here in America. Mm-hmm. But I understood it. I understood it. So I didn't degrade it. I didn't belittle it. You know what I'm saying? I did not hug somebody because of me smelling that. I know I did not. And I'm explaining it, and I say it smells different from somebody here with BO. It's different than a BO to me. It's different than a BO smell in comparison to a natural smell. That's the difference.
Everybody had their own unique like strong odor about them.
Well, one of the things I got is it kind of smelled the same. It wasn't like, now a BO smelled different. But this natural smell, it was like most of the men had the same smell, unless he wore deodorants or did differently with his body. It was like the males had pretty much the same smell that they would have on them. Their breath was not stinking. You know what I'm saying? Most of them had this glow on their skin too, like a beautiful glow. It was unnatural for me to see a beautiful glow on the skin, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like when I got that's what I'm saying. So some things we have biases about, we would quickly say that person didn't do hygiene. No, that person just didn't over cologne or perfume themselves. they didn't. They didn't overly cologne or perfume themselves. And there were points like in the when we were closed in, you could smell it at an even heightened thing, but it was, again, when you opened up the doors, the scent would go back down. And it never was a point where the scent had me feeling like I was gonna vomit or something. You know what? I'm trying to put it out there as quick. So sometimes we have to watch ourselves judging people. So about what they smell like, or their culture, because that's a cultural thing for them. In some tribes, that's a cultural thing. The men do not put deodorant on. And so we got to watch being judgmental about those things. The belief that a lot of the women are bigger in Africa. I've heard that so many times. There are thick women, but the women, these, maybe on TV it makes it look like they're bigger, but these women are like under a size, if they're 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are smaller women. They just got some boobs and a booty.
They say that it's actually attractive to be on the thicker side.
That's not what I seen. I seen more smaller women there than I seen my size women. I did see some my size women and bigger, but I didn't see many. That's what I'm saying to you. I didn't see it the way that America would say it. There we go. I didn't see it the way that America puts it out. That's not how I seen it. It was not like that. So I think we know something we don't know. Look, I think, or we say some things that and they had gyms. They had workout gyms there. They work out. And they eat a lot healthier than we do. They don't do a whole bunch of wasteful snacking. Their chips does not have all those preservatives and all that crap in it. The chip bag is full to the top. Like, so if you get a bag of chips like this, it's going to be full to the top. And the chips are cut thicker. It's like you can taste you're eating a potato in that chip. We literally shared like 2 to 3 bags of chips. It wasn't even 2 to 3 bags of chips was shared with the bus, and there were still chips left in the bag. You see that?
Yeah. That's
so wild. America, we got this bag, but we got this much in there. And they cut so thin, and they got a whole bunch of different chemicals on them that you feel sick after you eat the chips.
Yeah. Getting used to feeling sick. That's crazy. I'm getting you painting the whole picture for me.
Look, but we still got another whole half, but I thank you today for us being able to sit here. But let's get to this real fast. I just want to say that I need you all to know that we're going to stay in Jeremiah 17, because some things that just as I tell this story about I told the story about the first part of the trip to Nairobi, Kenya, and some of the lessons that I learned for myself. And I'm grateful, Seth, that you allow me the space to be able to share those pieces with you. But I need us to know the Lord is searching our mind. What's in your mind? Whatever's in your mind, is either going to awaken your perspective or it's going to shut you down and it's going to limit you. And you don't serve a little God. You serve a God who is God over everything. He is the Holy Spirit is everywhere that you are, everywhere that you will ever be. There is no part of you the Holy Spirit is not. And so the Lord is searching you, right? And he's searching you and he's going to try your heart. He's searching your mind. If you really believe these things, you really digested, you really see, and he got to search your heart. He got to really see if you believe him. He got to test you. You got to be tested. You are not someone not to be tested. He has to test. Even give to every man according. There's going to be some giving. He's going to give to every man according to his ways. What are your ways? What are your ways in this season? What do you believe in this season? How are you moving in this season? What do you have? Because we really have work that we got to do. It'll work if you work it, but we ain't been working it. We ain't been working it according to the fruit of his doing. So he gives us instructions and then he's searching our mind. He's searching our heart. He's going to give you according to your ways. So you got to think about your ways. You got to align your ways with the Father. And then what are you doing? There's going to be some fruit from what you're doing. What are you doing? But as we go through this, I'm going to go through it over this month in different ways. Jeremiah 17, we're going to go in. But this one is the one that's holding right now to me. We got accountability. There's accountability on us in this season. And God's going all in us. I told y'all, it's the reset. He got to get all up into you, all into every part of you in this season. And you only been giving them access to piece of you, but you want a blessing that moves you beyond the you that you see yourself today, but you won't give God access to everything that is everything to you. And so we gotta open up and let it go because God is about to do a work. And I'm saying if you come in and you're listening and you're receiving, let God do what God do. But this time you do what God instructed you. Let God do what God do, but it's time you do what God's instructed you. And so I love you all and I thank you. I thank you for holding space with us on the day and getting the first part. I may need to name this the first part to the summary of Nairobi, Kenya, but it's so much to this, and I'm in a season right now, you all, after coming back. Every single time I come back to the continent of Africa continent of America after leaving, it's another shift that happens. And so I'm evaluating in this season what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Right? I love y'all and I thank y'all for holding space with me today and Seth. And we look forward to you all coming back with us next Wednesday. I will hopefully be here with Bishop on Friday. I know Bishop has been ecstatic. He's like waiting to come back on. He's missing y'all. And so let's get it started this week. But next week I'll be on Monday. And then me and Seth on Wednesday. And then me and Bishop on Friday. We're going to get this thing back on track. Love y'all. You have anything to say, Seth? Bye. He gone, y'all. Bye, y'all.